Okay, good morning everyone. We're continuing Mishnah Berura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Kuf Chaf Daled. We're in the last Mishnah Berura on Sif Tes. The Mechaber said that if some of the responders are still being marich too long to answer Amen, the Mavarich does not have to wait for them to proceed. It says Mishnah Berura Sif Katna Mechasa In Tzarech HaMavarich V'hu Shehabracha In Choiva Al HaKol L'Shmaya. This is talking about where the bracha is not obligatory on everyone to listen. So if the bracha is not obligatory, he could proceed. And if he's being moitzi the rabbim, their chiyuv, bein shu sheikh tzibur or shar mevarch, whether he's an official shatz or any other mevarch, tzarch lahamtin, he does have to wait. Af al hatoyim uma'arichin ba'amein, even for those who are mistaken and answering amein long, Kedei sheyishmu, so that they could hear v'yetzu yidei chayva gam him b'habracha, so that they too could be yotzei their brachos. So what about hamoitzi? Later on in Siman Kuf Samach Zayin, the Mishnah Berura says that even though the Mavarich is moitzi others, he does not have to wait for those who are marach yoser to be boitseya the pas. I mean, why, I'm not sure what the question from that would be, because there he's already finished with the bracha, but he's allowed to proceed with betzias hapas, because he's not speaking after they answer amen. So he could be boitseya even before the last guy still did not answer amen. What about birchas kayanim? Since there's a chiyuv on the whole tzibur to hear, the kayhanim should not start yivarechacha until the entire tzibur finished answering amen. However, when the shatz, so in other words, the kayhanim should not start yivarechacha until the whole tzibur is finished answering amen. The shatz could be makri yivarechacha as long as roiv the tzibur already finished answering amen. Okay. Sif Yud. Misha shachach v'layom rayal v'yaver rosh chodesh ay b'chol shel ma'id ay b'chol davar shetzarach lachzer b'shvilai. Someone who forgot, he didn't say yal v'yavai on rosh chodesh or chal ha'ma'id or any other time that he would have to go back for it. Yechavein daitoi, he should have kavana v'yishma m'shiach tzibur kol shman eser brachos. So someone who forgot something that's ma'akev, he should have explicit kavana and listen to the shiach tzibur, all 18 brachos, meiroi shviat seif, ka'adam shemisval la'atzmai, like someone who's davening himself. V'lo yafsik, he shouldn't interrupt. V'lo yasiach, he shouldn't talk. U'poisel shalosh psios la'achrav, and he takes 3 steps back. The kivan shekvar spalel, since he already davened. Ela sheshachach v'lo hizker, he just forgot and didn't remember something. Afal pishu baki, even though he's proficient in davening, sheikh tzibur moitziai, the sheikh tzibur could be moitzi him. Meaning, even though we learned that chazar sashatz is only for misha einai baki, but someone who's a baki, chazar sashatz cannot be moitzi, someone who's a baki, but someone who already attempted to daven, he just forgot something that's ma'akev, such a person can be yotzei tefillah by listening to the chazar sashatz, provided that he's yichavein daitai. Now, look in the Bir Halacha. Yichavein Daita. He brings from Rabbi Kiva Eger, who writes, if you look in Toisis and the Rush, it's mashma. Let's say a guy did not finish davening, and he doesn't have to go back to the beginning of davening. He only has to go back to, let's say, Yotzei. He does not listen to the entire Chazar Sashatz. So what does he do? L'char, what he does is he stops and he listens to from the shots what he needs to listen to. So he says, "Mikamakam inu chayzer v'yishma me'ashatz kol atfila, u'v'chay gavna l'chayra mafsik miyad." He interrupts immediately. Ve'inu gomer tefila, so he doesn't finish his tefila. Kivan deretzayne latzeis b'shmiya me'ashatz, since he wants to be yotzei by listening to the shots. V'meila masha gomer tefila, say have a bracha levatala. Ulanias daiti, says the Berura, in my humble opinion, b'chai gavna, in such a circumstance, the ein tzarach lachsa l'roish rak l'ritzei, where he only has to go back to ritzei. Efshar diyamtin ad sheyagia shatz l'ritzei. It could be he should wait until the shatz gets to ritzei. Umisham ve'elach yichavein l'tfilas hashatz. We had this earlier in Siman Kuf Aleph, that if somebody was not mechavein for avos, the Be'er Halacha says that he should wait for the shots to say avos, and then he'll continue on his own without the gibor. You remember that? We had in the Be'er Halacha. What does a guy do who didn't have kavanah for avos? Let's say he said a bracha to Hashem Magen Avram, and he realized his mind diverted during avos. So the Be'er Halacha recommended, stop where you are, wait until Chazar Sashatz, be Yotzei avos with Chazar Sashatz, and then you'll proceed without the Gibar. Okay, back to the Mishnah Berura. So somebody forgot anything that you have to go back because of. Mashma milashon zed afilum dileg mash v'ruach. This is mashma. Even if you forgot mash v'ruach, she'im mishalosh rishonos v'chein muchach ba'arzura siman tafsamach. V'ayin le'el b'siman kuf yadad b'shar tshuva siv katan vav. V'ayin le'kaman siman kuf chavav siv dalad u'masha kasav nusham Mishnah Berura b'shem el yaraba v'hagra. Basically, what's the shaila over here? Why would Mashavach be any different? There's a tzad to say, well, if you made a mistake in the first 3 brachos, it's considered like you didn't daven at all. In that case, since you're a baki, you can't be yotzei from a shatz. You can only be yotzei from a shatz if you davened, just you forgot something. But if you didn't daven at all, maybe you'd say you can't be yotzei from the shatz. The Shalmei Tzibur has this question and he doesn't have a conclusion. But it's not pashut, you're allowed to do that. Here the Mishnah Berura is saying that it's mashma, that if you make any mistake at all, even in the first 3, you could be yotzei from the shots. Yechavin daitai. The afagav the kaimalon the shel tzibur ena moitze ela dafka mishenoi baki. Even though we hold that a shots can only be moitzi someone who's not a baki. Shani hacha, here it's different. Shes spalal. You already davened. Ela sheshachach. It's just you forgot. V'loi hizker, and you didn't mention what needs to be mentioned. Lachein afalpi shehu baki hashel tzibur moitziai. Therefore, even though you're a baki, the shel tzibur could be moitzi him. And even though nowadays everyone is a baki, and the shots is not miskavein to be moitzi him. So the question is, could you use this nowadays? There's no way the shots is thinking when he's saying Shemon Esrei, I also want to be moitzi the guy who might have forgotten Yalav Yava or Mashrach Mar Ragashem. Rav Moshe explains, since Chazar Sashatz was niskan to be moitzi others yidei chayva, so the stam das of a shatz is to do whatever the takana is, and therefore, if there's somebody who needs to be yotzei, it's as if he's having in mind to be moitzi him. The Achronim say it's better for you to daven yourself. Why? Because nowadays, not everyone could be mechavein in his das to listen to the Shel Tzibur from beginning to end. V'shema levava yifneh, your heart may be distracted. V'lo yishma me Shel Tzibur eza milos hama'akven betfila, and you may miss out on some words that are ma'akev tefillah. You hear this? Nowadays we say, do not rely on chazar sashatz v'yotzei, because your mind may have been distracted. So what if your mind is distracted? When your mind is distracted, then it's considered like you missed those words. Now this is a major shaila legabe Megillas Esther, because if we assume that somebody's mind was definitely distracted when listening to Chazar Sashatz, which takes 5 minutes, then certainly you would think that we would say your mind gets distracted when you're listening to Megillas Esther that takes 30 to 40 minutes. At least it should. If it doesn't, the guy's not saying the words clearly. Now, what if your mind does get distracted during Megillas Esther? The answer is you're not Yotzei. That's it. That's what we learn from this Mishnah Berura. We learn from this Mishnah Berura that if you need to be Yotzei something by Shemea Ka'ina and your mind is distracted. Mind distracted means you know you're in shul. It's just all of a sudden you start thinking about what you're going to eat after the fast. There's a question whether you're Yotzei. What do we say? Well, we say you're not Yotzei. So how do we rely on this? So one eitzah is everyone should learn the Megillah themselves. But that's not feasible. The other eitzah is that we rely on the fact that Aidi de Chavivi, since Megillas Esther is beloved, we say that a person is focused on it. However, everybody needs to make sure that that applies to them. Meaning, let's say you know your mind gets distracted, then there's only one eitzah, and the eitzah is you need to have your finger on the place for every single word. Because then, even if your mind is distracted, there's considered at least a certain level of cognizance that you're following every word. So now, I highly discourage people from following along Megillas Esther with a Megillah. And that's because unless you prepared the Megillah that year 4 times, there's no way you remember how to pronounce each word, or at least some words, mil el mil ra. If you say, yeah, I'll test you, and you're not going to pass. Yeah, we'll test you. Last time you said that, you came to me 2 days later that it didn't work, But I don't recommend using a Megillah, because the purpose of the Megillah is if you miss a word, you could say it. The thing is, you have to know how to say it. If you say V'haman ba'a instead of Haman ba, if you say Yashuv instead of Yashuv, then it's a different word. So you're much better off with a chumash. You're 1,000 times better off in a chumash. There's no, because you're allowed to say up to half the words, Baal Peh. So at least if you have a chumash, you know what to say. But if you're using a Megillah and you say the word wrong, then you're not Yotzei. There is no question. La halacha, you're much better off saying it with a chumash, following along with a chumash. But what about in terms of your mind being distracted? The only eitzah is you put your finger on the place. Your finger's on the place, then even if your mind is somewhat distracted, at least you have a certain level of awareness of what word we're up to. But this is based on this Mishnah Berura. You should all the poskim quote this Mishnah Berura Lagabe Megillas Esther, where they say that if Bizman Hazeh you can't rely on Chazar Sashatz because people's minds are distracted, in a certain sense, Kal V'chomer for Megillas Esther, you have to be concerned that your mind are distracted. V'kasav habach ve'el yarabba, de'im hashatz darkoi lahavliya hamilois. The Bach and the Al Yarabba say that if the shatz swallows words, midina asol esmech hashatz. Lahalacha, you can't rely on the shatz. Elachayev lehispalo ba'atzmai. You need to do it yourself. The same thing with Megillas Esther. People say, oh, I know he does it very fast, but every word is so clear. That's another way of saying that he's a good Jew, he's Mekayim Mishlayach Manos, but he's not Mekayim the mitzvah of Mikra Megillah. Because if he's saying it so fast, and it's in like 25-minute range, there is no question he's swallowing words, and I'm sure he has a bris milah, and I'm sure he keeps Shabbos, but Mikra Megillah will not be one of the mitzvahs that this individual will be Yotzei. And look, you could definitely, if he picks up wine, it's not Yayin Nesach, because he thinks he's Yotzei, so it's not going to be, it's not like, it's not Yayin Nesach, but Mikra Megillah, he won't be Yotzei. He has to make sure that he articulates, for sure, L'chatchila. I'm not even talking about L'chatchila. Of course, L'chatchila is not. I'm saying even B'di'evet. If you're Mavliya words, so then he's not saying the words. So that's what the Mishnah Berura says. Im hashatz darkoi lahavliya hamilois midina asur lismaich hashatz. And you have to do it yourself. Okay, Meirosh v'yat Seif, from beginning to end. I am Seif Birkei Yosef Damasik Shlo Yomer Az Moedim D'Rabbanan. What do you do if you're being Yotzei Chazar Sashatz from the Tzibor, from the Shech Tzibor? Do you listen to regular Moedim? Do you respond Moedim D'Rabbanan? You listen to regular Moedim. Ela Yichavin L'Shema Mishal Tzibor Moedim Shuomer. V'O'idna Shenagim Eza Chazanam Lemer Moedim B'Tchilasei B'Lachash. Nowadays, many Chazanim, they say the regular moedim quietly while everybody says moedim d'Rabbanan to themselves, which is wrong. But if they do that, then nobody could be Yotzei Shemana Esrei with them. I don't know where they got this bad minhag from, that the Chazan says the moedim quietly while everybody else says moedim d'Rabbanan. Some are noyeg, just the opposite, that they remain silent, and after the tzibur says moedim d'Rabbanan, they say the whole thing out loud. That's not necessary. But what is necessary is to say the moedim d'Rabbanan, to say moedim. The Chazan needs to say moedim out loud. The after nogim at tzibur leimar az moedim d'Rabbanan, even though the tzibur says moedim d'Rabbanan, kol magim tefillah say niskan, the tefillah was niskan l'hoitzi mishein abaki, v'tzarach leimar al kapanam ktsas, because it has to be somewhat out loud. Sheyuchlu l'shmaya asar b'nei adam ha'imdim svivai. That at least 10 people around you need to be able to hear it. Okay, so we did an epic Mishnah Berura today. This is a very fundamental Mishnah Berura that nowadays people cannot pay attention for more than 5 minutes. By the way, this is very nogeh for Kiddush. Kiddush Friday night. If you're listening to someone's Kiddush Friday night, you have to make sure you are focused on every word. Don't be looking around. Don't be looking at, what kind of dips are on the table. You need to be focused on every word in order to be Yotzei. So what would the halacha be? You're in the middle of Megillas Esther, and you get a text message, and you check the text. I'm basically listening. But you divert your attention. So the good thing is, there'll be another reading afterwards, probably, for the ladies. You could sneak in and listen to the Megillah again. But that's what the Mishnah Berura said. If you divert your attention while listening to Megillas Esther, then you are not Yotzei.
Again, if you say the words yourself, if you space out for a second and say the words, then you're okay. But the Rav doesn't do that from the Megillah because you'll say the words wrong.
Yeah, unless you prepared it, unless you know it, what are the chances that you know them? You might get it right. It's like 50-50. I'm saying if you're not a Bal Korei, there's not a chance you're going to get it right. Even if you're Bal Korei, if you didn't prepare it for that year, I don't know. I'm not willing to say. I highly discourage using a Megillah. Unless you prepared it that year, 4 times, and you're confident.
Any advantage using a Megillah?
Yeah, the advantage is for people who actually know it. Then if you miss a word, then, look, you're allowed to say up to half the words Baal Peh, which means, or in a Chumash. But that's B'diavad. It's more l'chadchila to say it inside. But even more l'chadchila than saying it inside is being Yotzei the mitzvah. So I'm just concerned that, people... By the way, it's the same thing with the Chumash. Even if you have a Chumash, I don't know if people are going to say it correctly. People might not know whether it's Ba'a or Ba'a, and that's Ma'akev. That's Ma'akev being Yotzei. Yeah, I think you're much better off. Look, if your Shver got you a Megillah, and he's going to really be upset, so then hold your Megillah, and then if you miss a word, and then you could always hear the Megillah later at a different thing when the Shver is not there. But just because you have a nice Megillah with a silver case, keep it in the Svarim Shrank. Let it continue to look good over there. I don't think it's helping you regarding being Mekayim the mitzvah of Megillah. The other zach is, in order to make sure that you're focused, you need to have your finger on the place. Because like we said, if your mind diverts, it's seriously a question whether you're Yotzei. You want to be smudging your finger on the Megillah the whole time? So I guess you'll have to go like that, Anyway, have a great day, everyone. Kol tov.